South Africa was sent into a storm of debate and outrage this week after Economic Freedom Fighters, EFF, leader Julius Malema once again made a bold and divisive political statement that instantly set social media ablaze. Addressing a crowd of supporters and journalists during a fiery press briefing, Malema called on the government to open South Africa's borders to Nigerians and other African nationals, insisting that visas should be scrapped in favor of what he described as Pan-African solidarity and unity. But the backlash was swift, loud, and fierce. Across platforms from X, formerly Twitter, to Facebook and WhatsApp groups, South Africans voiced their anger at what many saw as a reckless and dangerous proposition, one that ignored the country's existing socio-economic challenges. South Africa must lead by example. We cannot call ourselves true Africans while we are still treating Nigerians and other Africans as outsiders. Visas should not exist between African countries. Nigerians should be allowed to come here freely, and South Africans should go there freely. That is what it means to be part of the African family. For his supporters, it was another classic Malema move, radical, uncompromising, and unapologetically Pan-African. But for many ordinary citizens and even some political commentators, it was seen as an insult to the struggles that South Africans already face with unemployment, crime, and strained public resources. Within hours of Malema's remarks, hashtags such as #NoFreeVisa, #MalemaOutOfTouch, and #SouthAfricansFirst began trending on X. Users poured out frustrations, with thousands questioning how the country could possibly afford an influx of more migrants when millions of South Africans remain jobless and dependent on a fragile welfare system. Malema is quick to invite Nigerians here, but where is he when young South Africans are sitting at home with no jobs? Our hospitals are collapsing, schools are overcrowded, and he thinks adding more people is the solution. Madness. Free visa for Nigerians. Julius must be living in another South Africa. Not the one where we are robbed every day, struggling to put food on the table, and drowning in crime. Beyond social media, civil society groups also expressed alarm. An informal coalition of neighborhood watch associations released a statement warning that reckless policy positions like the one Malema is proposing could worsen crime levels, strain law enforcement, and create a security crisis. Malema's statement also touched a raw nerve in the long and often uneasy relationship between South Africa and Nigeria. While both nations are considered African giants, economically and politically, tensions have repeatedly surfaced over issues of migration, business competition, and crime. In recent years, Nigerian nationals in South Africa have been at the center of controversies involving drug trafficking syndicates, scams, and violent crime. While many Nigerians in South Africa are law-abiding, hard-working professionals, the stereotype of Nigerians being linked to crime has persisted, fueling xenophobic violence and community tensions. Analysts note that Malema's remarks seemed oblivious to this delicate context. For many South Africans, the idea of lifting visa restrictions sounds less like African unity and more like inviting an already volatile situation to spiral further out of control. It is one thing to talk about Pan-African unity in theory, but another to deal with the lived realities of South Africans. Malema's comments appear disconnected from the social tensions, unemployment crisis, and fear of crime that dominate everyday life. South Africans are not against Nigerians or Africans in principle, but they want law and order, accountability, and protection of their own citizens first. South Africa's unemployment rate remains one of the highest in the world, hovering around 32%, with youth unemployment soaring above 60%. For many citizens, Malema's suggestion of granting free entry to Nigerians felt like a slap in the face. Businessman and Soweto resident Thabo Makona captured the frustration. Everywhere you go, there's a queue, at hospitals, at clinics, at home affairs. We are battling to get electricity and water consistently. And Malema wants to add more pressure by telling government to bring in Nigerians for free. He has lost the plot. Our leaders should be focused on fixing South Africa first before making these grand speeches about African unity. This economic angle has dominated the criticism. Opponents argue that the local job market is already oversaturated, with foreign nationals, both documented and undocumented, often competing with locals for scarce opportunities in construction, retail, and service sectors. Despite the uproar, Malema doubled down on his comments later in the day. Responding to a journalist's question about the backlash, he defended his stance by invoking the legacy of African liberation struggles. When South Africans were suffering under apartheid, it was not South Africans alone who fought. Nigeria, Ghana, Tanzania, Zambia, and many others gave us support. They gave us refuge, they gave us resources. How can we now turn around and deny them entry? It is hypocrisy. He insisted that fears of crime and unemployment linked to Nigerians were rooted in xenophobic stereotypes and not in fact. According to Malema, opening the borders would encourage stronger business ties, cultural exchange, and solidarity in the face of global exploitation. But this defense did little to calm the storm. Critics accused him of romanticizing Pan-Africanism while ignoring the harsh realities on the ground. Opposition parties seized on Malema's remarks as proof that he was out of touch with ordinary South Africans. The Democratic Alliance, DA, labeled his comments reckless and irresponsible, while Action SA warned that the EFF leader was fueling tensions that could once again lead to xenophobic violence. This is the same Julius who never has to queue at a clinic, who never has to worry about his child competing for a job, who never faces the insecurity of crime in our townships. His free visa policy is a betrayal of the very people he claims to represent. The ANC, meanwhile, issued a more cautious response, with one spokesperson saying that while Pan-African unity was an important goal, it must be pursued in a way that balances solidarity with national interest and security concerns. On the ground, ordinary citizens continued to express anger. Taxi drivers, street vendors, students, and unemployed youth voiced concerns that Malema's proposal would leave them worse off. We are already invisible to government. Adding more people from outside will make us even more invisible. Julius can say what he wants, but he doesn't live the life we live. He's safe in his big house. We are the ones who will suffer. Whether Malema's comments will have a lasting political impact remains to be seen. His supporters argue that he is ahead of his time, pushing for a vision of African unity that could one day transform the continent. His critics, however, see his words as dangerous populism that risks stoking unrest at a time when South Africa is already struggling to hold itself together. What is clear is that the idea of free visas for Nigerians has struck a raw chord. For many South Africans, it is not just about visas, it is about identity, security, survival, and a deep sense of being left behind in their own country.